So as we begin this evening, before we actually move into our usual story and then Havdalah, I wanted to offer special prayers for the Congregation Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas, where my colleague, Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker, is one of the 4 hostages who's been held hostage since this morning. And there is a little information out that a New York-based rabbi has spoken with the hostage taker. So I know that there's been negotiations going on and no one has been injured. But this is a very distressing and serious situation, deserving of our attention and our prayers. I share first the words of Rabbi Karen Kadar. Dear Congregation Beth Israel, you are not alone. We wait with you. We are with you. We all send courage and wisdom to Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker as he tries to calm the troubled heart of his captor and offer strength to his congregants who are with him as hostages. We watch and hold vigil as law enforcement patiently navigate this terribly complex situation. Hate is a terrifying thing to behold. We wait with prayer in our hearts. Hope is forever close by. Rabbi Ophir Sabbath Beit Halachmi wrote a prayer and has adapted it from a prayer that was written for captive Israel Defense Force soldiers. A prayer for those held captive. O God, the one who raised Joseph up from the pit, be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. Send complete rescue and full redemption to those held captive. Strengthen their spirit and bring them our prayers that they be protected from all harm. Implant understanding in the heart of the enemy that they may return the captive, that he may return the captives in wholeness of body and spirit. Give wisdom to all of the authorities that they may secure freedom for the captives without loss of life. Grant strength of spirit and courage of heart to all the sons and daughters of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar to release bonds of captivity and allow us all to live safely in freedom. From Psalm 91, thus they shall call upon me and I will answer them. I will be with them in distress. I will rescue them and honor them. God, give them strength, and we pray to bring them out alive. Amen. As we know, it doesn't just impact one community, it impacts all of us. Rabbi Citron Walker was one of the rabbis who started the group in the CCAR of rabbis of smaller congregations, of which I've been a part, and I worked closely with him there. We used a Purim spiel that he wrote and put together, a Disney Purim spiel a number of years ago with a Havdalah service that was from him. And he and I passed the Torah from one to the other when we were in the NAACP Journey for Justice March. And he was part of the group that came the day after I was there as well. Another colleague is with his mother in East Lansing, Michigan. And another colleague of mine is with the mother of one of the other hostages in Maryland. So we offer support in all directions, and our hearts are with them at this most difficult time. So I thought it was important to begin on that note, and we will continue with more of what we usually do at this time as well, along with prayers, and we'll say goodbye to Shabbat. We also have a story each week, and this being such a full weekend, being Shabbat Shirah, and Monday being both Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Tu B'Shvat, it is a time of many things coming together. So I want to turn things over to Rabbi Rachel Esserman. And I have everyone but Rachel showing up here. Just a moment. So I'm going to No, but I'm going to pin you, spotlight you so everybody
There we
will
go.
see. Okay?
Thank you. Tonight we have another story that sort of deals with food, but also, of course, has Jewish components too. So once there was a very rich man in a community who had so much money and had so much rich food that he actually got sick and tired of eating all the delicacies that he had, if you can believe it. I mean, he had special things from out of town that he could afford, all kinds of fancy cakes and pastries. And what he decided to do, well, I'm bored with all of this. I'm going to try a poor man's food just to sort of see what it's like, because that's something I've never really had because I've always had enough money. So he talked to his maid and he said, you know, I'd like to try some poor man's beans. I want to taste what they're like. And his maid thought, oh boy, now if I serve him what a poor person really eats, he's going to be very unhappy and I might lose my job. I don't want to do that. So she made a bean meal, but of course she put a little bit of meat in it and put some spices and some salt, all the things that a poor person wouldn't be able to afford because at that time it all cost too much. So she made him the meal and he ate it and he thought, oh, wow, this is really wonderful. Boy, why are those poor people all complain about what the kind of food they have? This is really tasty. I don't understand it. So he ate that for a few days and then he went back to some of his regular food, his fancy food. And then the next week or so, he decided, you know, that poor people's food was pretty good. I'm going to try it again. So he talked to his maid and said, this time I'd like, you know, they talk about lentils are really like one of the cheapest foods. I'd like you to make me some, you know, some lentil food, some poor people's lentil food. And again, the maid thought, eek. You know, I'll lose my job if I make him what, you know, we used to eat when my parents were so poor that that's all we had. So she made the lentils, but she put some onions in it, and a little bit of brust, and a little bit of something else, and some spices. And of course, it tasted wonderful. And he again was thinking, oh, I don't know why these poor people complain that their food is terrible. This food is wonderful. So after a few days of that, he went back to all this fancy food again, and then was thinking, well, you know, they talk about the poor people just eating potatoes. So I'm going to have my maid make me potatoes. And again, she says to her, just make me a potato meal. And again, she thinks, oh, if I give him what, you know, just plain potatoes and water, he's going to fire me. So she made the potatoes again, but put spices and onions and other things in. And of course, was this wonderful kind of potato soup. In fact, it was so wonderful, the man was saying, you know, I've been giving charity all this time to the synagogue to help these poor people, supposedly because they don't have any food and their food is so wonderful. Why in the world am I giving any money to them anymore? I'm not going to do it. I'm just gonna keep it for myself. Well, the maid sort of overheard him talking to herself, and she said, "Uh-oh, that's not a good thing." So then another week later, or so, he asked her to make him the bean meal again because it was the first one that he tried. It was so good. But this time, she made him a bean meal like a poor person's bean meal, which was just some beans and then a little bit of oil and no spices and no salt and no anything else, because that's what a poor person who had no money would eat. So she serves it to him and he's really looking forward to this because his food is so wonderful. And he takes a bite of it, puts a spoon up and spits it out because he says, this is terrible. What are you doing to me? Why did you do this? Why didn't you make me the food before? She said, well, I always thought you would fire me if I really gave you a poor people's food. This is a poor man's food, and you need to make sure to continue giving charity because you should be grateful for what you have and not worry about the fact that you think that other people might have something that's better than you. And the man was so embarrassed that this time he gave charity, and he gave it in honor of his maid who had taught him an important lesson, that even that you might be rich, but you should appreciate what you have and you should try to help others so that they will also be able to have the appropriate and proper amount of food. And that, by the way, it's sort of basically based from the book that I was telling you about, Food Stories, but you would not recognize what I told you from that story. There was just a little bit of the thing, and I went and really, really, really embellished it, but it's the same basic points. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for embellishing that meal. Thank you for embellishing that meal. The auditory meal.
Yes, I did embellish the meal.
So we are going to continue momentarily with Havdalah. And I just want to put everything in the chat for you so that you'll be able to have the words of what we are doing. And then we will be able to begin. So hopefully you have your candle and you have your wine or juice and your spices. I decided in honor of Tu B'Shvat, I'm going to use my etrog again for my besamim. It was so good the other time. And find my. And I was at another Havdalah earlier from Allentown, and I decided to use my little. It used to be like more hollow in the center, but my round one, it still makes. I think it has one more Havdalah in it, but not much more than that because it's so short. But nice for tonight. All of the wicks makes it extra warm. But since I did it once already tonight, it's sizzling first because of the wine on it. Can you hear all the sizzle? It's really a noisy candle tonight. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei besamim borei minei besamim. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המבדיל בין קודש לחול, בין אור לחושך, בין יום השביעי לששת ימי המעשה. ברוך אתה אדוני המבדיל בין קודש לחול. We take another moment to savor Shabbat before we put out our candles and our wine or juice to move into the rest of the week and say goodbye to Shabbat. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera v'yameinu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. I invite you to unmute so that we can sing Shavua Tov together and wishing one another a good week.
Rabbi Gosnick is the Executive Vice President of the New York Board of Rabbis. Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay. Someone has the news on in the background. If you can mute it, please. Thank you. Whoever has the television on, if you can mute it, or else you're going to need to mute yourself. That's the choice, I guess. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov,
Shavua Tov, a good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy and peace. Good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
And we wish and we hope.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, we wish and pray that the hostages will be released safely in Texas. Keep our prayers with them, as I heard others have their television on in the background, and hope that when we come together for next Shabbat, we will be able to have a peaceful resolution of this conflict and be able to move forward from here. So Shavua Tov, we say goodbye to those of you on Facebook.
Shavua